Hi everyone, welcome to my show, From Stuck to Unstoppable, how divorce can be the catalyst for the most extraordinary chapter in your life. Learn how 21 mindset experts can help you shift, thrive, and create the life of your dreams. Now, this is not limited only to women who are experiencing divorce or separation. This is for any woman who is finding themselves in a transition in their life, whether it be an empty nesting or career shift or navigating parts of their career that they hadn't anticipated, relationships. Gosh, there's a myriad of things that one could be in transition with. It could simply be that you've woken up one morning and realized that this is not exactly the life that you had in mind. That's very real, and I feel like that's happening a lot these days. So this show and summit is for you. I have curated a handful of wonderful mindset specialists, casting a wide net of expertise from health, wealth, marriage, divorce, relationships, financial, grief, all sorts of things that will help you navigate your way into living the best version of yourself in your life. So stay tuned as we trickle out 21 experts over the next 21 days to help inspire and empower and help you realize that everything you need is exactly inside of you where it's always been. So join me on this little adventure, and I look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much. Welcome back to my show. I'm your host, Christina Price. And today I'm so excited to share the floor with Elizabeth Sherman, who is Total Health by Elizabeth. She is a transformational coach empowering women in midlife to achieve optimal health and vitality through personalized solutions, which is really what we need because there's really no one size fits all. She has an amazing podcast called Total Health and Midlife, where she covers a myriad of topics from menopause to getting back on track to figuring out how to maintain. And of course, my favorite, mindset, which covers all types of topics like liking your reasons versus believing your excuses, which is, of course, a big one that we all struggle with.
Yes.
And she has a really great coaching aspect to it because that is something that we all need. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to her, let her introduce herself, give us some backstory in terms of her journey and how she found herself in the health coaching field and what she is doing to support women in their journey. Take it away.
Thanks for having me. I am so excited about our conversation today. I know that it's going to be amazing, and hopefully it'll be really valuable and helpful for everyone who's tuning in today. So I am a life and health coach for women in midlife. And as we said before we hit record, what does that mean to you? It could mean a different bunch of ages, but I guess the way that I describe it is most of the folks who come to me are starting to experience perimenopause, menopause symptoms. And so what I do is I help my clients in the areas of eating, physical activity, stress management, sleep management, body image, and then how to manage their menopausal symptoms naturally without the use of drugs or chemicals or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's a lot that you can do in terms of lifestyle that will help you to minimize your symptoms. So that's what I do as a coach. Now, how I got here is my journey started in 2001 when I was 33 years old, and I was in the hospital with my mom, and she was dying of breast cancer. And I know that is not to start out in a negative light here, but it really was the turning point for me because I saw in that moment her talking to her doctors and her doctors talking about her bone health and her strength and all of that stuff. I was like, how do I not have this happen to me? Because I could see the writing on the wall. I could connect the dots and I knew in that moment that if I didn't do something in my own life, that I was witnessing my future. And it scared me enough to do something. Now, initially, so I went home and I Googled, how do I not get breast cancer? And I found out that lifestyle has a huge impact on our risk factors for not only breast cancer, but also heart disease and diabetes and all of these things that I had no idea.
Right.
I didn't grow up in a family where we really talked about health. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And my mom used to just try to get dinner on the table.
Just get it into you, surviving.
Exactly. How do I fill 8 mouths and
Right.
not have everyone be hungry?
Right.
And so there really wasn't, even though all of our meals were homemade, it wasn't like, oh, make sure you get your vegetables in.
That wasn't the focus.
Exactly. It was, how do I feed 8 people? So anyway, that incident really led me on this journey of my own health. And then at the time, I was working in Silicon Valley as a VP for sales engineering. And I was like, how am I making the world a better place by making software for car dealerships and all of these things? I was like, I want to find my purpose. And so I started seeing a psychologist, probably more as a life coach than anything else. She was like, I think that you would be a really great wellness coach. And so that was really my foray into all of this stuff. And so I got all of my certifications together. I was a personal trainer and nutritionist, and then realized that my clients would start getting really good success, but then something in their life would happen where the wheels would come off. And that thing was always stress related. And it was always really frustrating to me because I said that I helped people with stress, but the advice that we give people about stress is really go meditate, do some deep breathing, get a manicure, get a massage. And it all felt very, I don't know,
Like
just
disconnected and fluffy. Okay.
exactly.
Then what?
Yeah,
What happens
exactly.
after the massage?
Exactly. I have to go
Right.
back to my life where the stress
Right.
is. And again, going back to seeking my own help and finding life coaching and realizing, oh, we can actually preventively manage our stress, because 2 people can experience the same event and have very different experiences of the event. One person can find it as deeply traumatic, and the other person can find it as irritating or very different.
Right.
So the thing that's different is our perception of the event, what it means to us.
Our attachment to it, like what we come to the table with as we're experiencing it. And so then how does it affect us? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that was like the real big piece there, that I was like, oh, we look at health as if it's in this silo, independent thing that all I have to do is eat right and exercise and I'll be healthy. But the thing that's keeping us from doing the things that we know that we should be doing, because we all know what we should be doing. We all know that we should be drinking water and eating vegetables and exercising, walking, whatever, that it's our life that's impacting our ability to be able to do those things. So that's the nutshell of where we're going to jump off.
Yeah. And that's my favorite place, because focusing on the connection between the mind and body, I think that's such a great analogy. We think of it as this outside, independent silo, this health over here. How do we get a little piece of that, right? How do we somehow become that? And there's such a disconnect between thinking that our health and our mind, like that we operate in these 2 different hemispheres, and it's the same body of water. Like it's all connected. And that's the key, is connecting the 2 pieces, because without, like you said, you can walk, you can eat right, you can drink water, and you're still feeling tired, and you're still not necessarily getting the physical results that you think you're going to get. And you're still hitting these walls and these plateaus, like you're making progress. Then you stop, because there is a disconnect between understanding why you're doing these things, right? Oh, I just want to do it. If I could just look a certain way, If I could just lose the weight, then I will have these amazing feelings. Then my life will somehow all fall together in place. And yeah, that's just not real. That's not how it
Well,
works.
and yeah, you said something that I just want to go back to and highlight, because I think that so many of us grew up in the age of Health Magazine, of Glamour, of Cosmopolitan,
Yep.
where we were so hyper fixated on health as how it pertains to how we look. And so we grew up
Right.
with these messages of, you need to eat a 13-year-old boy, right? But you need to look like a Victoria's Secret model. We never wanted to go out with our friends or like a group of friends and be the girl who orders the salad if everyone else is ordering pizza. We don't want to be the high maintenance one. And so
It's supposed to
there's
be
this.
effortless.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so I feel in midlife, there's this spotlight that gets shown on the parts of our lives that that aren't working for us anymore.
Mhm.
And it's like the universe tapping us on the shoulder and being like, hey, let's look at this right now, because you haven't had a good relationship with food, or you haven't had a good relationship with your body, or you haven't had a good relationship with your partner or your mother
Right.
or like
Right.
work or whatever it is.
Yep.
And we're going to cause some pain
Yep.
to occur during
Some
this period of
disruption.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. So again, like always bringing it back to the mindset and the relationship of like your body's not your enemy and you
No.
are your body. So so the first step really is changing your relationship, your body and yourself, and being the caretaker. And so looking at that in a loving way instead of this friction way of, oh, why won't my body do what it's supposed to do? And why is it gaining weight in places it never gained weight before? Like, why am I more tired? So instead of this relationship of being frustrated with your body and yourself and your habits, peeling away the layers of looking at what's going on,
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah. And so, yeah, to go back to your previous point about when we do the things that we know that we're supposed to do, drink water, eat vegetables, eat protein, go for a walk, whatever, we've always looked at those habits as a way to manage our appearance. And I think that in midlife, we really need to look at those things from the lens of, how do I help myself to thrive? How do I help myself to feel good? And my perspective in working with my clients is, when we do the things that make us feel good, our body will then come after the fact.
Right.
And so for many of my clients, they lose weight, but then when we're celebrating it, they're like, yeah, this isn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be,
Right.
because it's really the cherry on top. I
Right.
really who I've become in this process of asking for what I need, and like being the person who doesn't get all stressed out about certain things, or
Right.
has a better relationship with food, who can walk by a plate of cookies or brownies and not feel like she needs to devour it. Yeah.
Which is a whole process in and of itself with sugar and the relationships that we have with all types of things. Yeah, I think it's just such a different way of coming at, I think it's a great time in our lives to be coming at this issue, we could say, because a lot of people have had a long-standing issue with their bodies and with their
Yeah.
relationship with their health. And it's an opportunity to come alongside of it with such a different perspective and such a different approach for lasting health and change. And in my personal opinion, I feel like it's really the only way to come at it successfully, because it is really just that, like it's a real relationship. And until you're really willing to have a relationship with yourself and your body,
Yeah.
you will continue to repeat the same patterns and stay on that same cycle. And what you said, cherry on top, I was going to say it's really just the gravy, both food puns, but it really is. We live in this world of like instant gratification. So it can seem really challenging, right? We want the results ASAP. And I think part of that is also like holding that loosely and letting go of such a tight grip on this risk reward. This is a marathon, it's the long game. And dipping your toe in and unraveling these relationships that we have with ourselves can be such a beautiful thing. And in the beginning, really daunting and overwhelming and challenging, but so rewarding.
Absolutely. Because when I talk to my clients about listening to their bodies, they're like, I don't know what that means. And I remember the time when I didn't know what that meant. And it felt really, scary to allow myself to not have judgment about foods, to be able to trust myself, to walk into a restaurant and order whatever I wanted and eat only enough. Like, there's a lot of self-trust in there that historically we as women have been taught not to trust ourselves. Going back to Health Magazine and Glamour and Cosmo, we are taught not to trust our bodies. We're taught to eat only 1,200 calories, regardless of what your activity level is, or what your body size is, or what your nutritional needs are. And so we're taught that, oh, you don't need more food, just drink water. Don't pay attention to your body. And so to learn how to have a relationship with your body, and I will tell everyone who's watching right now that when I spent so many years trying to control my body, trying to control it through workouts and through diets and all of that stuff. And one day I remember being in my living room, looking out into on our street. We had these beautiful plantation shutters. And I was like, what I am doing is not sustainable. Like, looking into my future at 65-year-old me, I was like, running every day for an hour, eating calorie controlled foods, and then going back to the gym and lifting weights and then binging at night. Like,
You're
this is
starving.
not
Yeah.
exactly
Yes.
starving during the day, binging at night. This is not sustainable. I need to get this shit under control. Otherwise, at 65, I'm going to be doing the same stuff, and I don't want to be doing that. And so it was at that point that I was like, I need to learn something different. And that's really, I was already a personal trainer. I was already a nutritionist, which was a hell of a shame because, and I say shame in terms of I felt a ton of shame because here I am teaching my clients to exercise and do the healthy thing. Meanwhile, I'm in secret binging and starving myself and over exercising and having this completely bizarre relationship with food and my body. But once I was able to have this relationship with my body where I was like, body, you are my ride or die.
That's right.
I don't get another one of you.
You're the only one I've lived forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's figure out how to do this together.
Yeah.
Once I really created that, and I always get goosebumps whenever I talk about this because, like, she is my BFF. I am so grateful to her. And so once I started that process and got to a point where I feel comfortable trusting her, she became the body that I was actually trying to control into looking that certain way. It was like, it was just
always in there. She was like, I could have shown up for you so long ago if you had just trusted me and loved me.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that really is so many things, like the trusting and like the net that will appear when you just take the leap. I think the trusting part is such a huge part of all of our journey as women because, oh man, you really hit the nail on the head earlier when you said we're raised in this environment where we are not told to trust our bodies. And listen, after reading Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy, I don't know, 4 times, and feeling like I had gone into reading that book like I was really had done a great job parenting. I've got 2 girls and a son, and oh my gosh, every other chapter I was like, ah, realizing how much repair I had to do. And one of them was raising my girls without allowing them to trust themselves, whether it was food or how they interacted with other people saying things, well, oh, why, that's so silly. Like, why you don't, that's not real. You don't need to feel that way. And oh my gosh. And food, we were like totally that family of who's the winner of the clean plate club. You can't trust your body to know when you're full. Like only I can do that. And so I've had to do a lot of repairing with that. And that's just like a really real thing that a lot of us have experienced. Other people telling us when we should be full, other people telling us what types of food will satiate us and how we should do it. And at the end of the day, like our bodies are super intuitive and they really know what's what. And we just need to learn the practice of quieting our mind and connecting with our bodies to just listen. Like, how am I feeling? Unpacking it. Am I really hungry? Am I really anxious? Am I really nervous? Am I angry? Like, all of those things are connected because we're one being, but really learning to trust ourselves. I feel like it's at the core of it.
Yeah. I never thought I would be the type of person to be able to go into the pantry and eat one cookie and walk away.
Yeah.
I always felt, oh, I just need to eat it all.
Have it. Like,
exactly.
not have it at all.
Banned.
I don't trust myself. So it's just such a different relationship when you invite trust into your world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I suppose we could wrap it on that. That is so at the core of so many relationship dysfunction and walking into and stepping into a really well working relationship, because if you don't have the trust, it's really hard to build a foundation. So I'm glad that really is like at the core of your coaching, because without that, yeah, it will be a stop, start, stop, start, stop, start.
Exactly.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been amazing, Elizabeth.
Yeah, this has been fun. I don't generally get to talk
fun.
about this stuff with people because
Oh.
it's a little too out there, but yeah, I love it.
But it's in here. Like it does. It feels, again, it's one of those things like we have to reconnect all of these things, because without it, we are just like floating through life without our feet on the ground and not really making any traction. And once we come home and come in, that's really where the work and the real excitement starts, because it's such a wonderful journey and it does feel scary. So I just invite all the women that are watching. I know that this will land with every single one of them because we've all grown up in this world, and it is hard. It can be hard and challenging for women on so many levels. And there's just such a wonderful invitation here to reignite your relationship with yourself and to have somebody coach you through it and hold your hand and give you all the tips and know-how of not having to figure it out on your own. Because of course that in and of itself is an overwhelming aspect of it. So I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing. I would encourage everybody to hop on your podcast and start following you and get on your website and take the opportunity to do a little one-on-one and see where their journey can take them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Elizabeth, for coming on and sharing your story. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, we'll talk soon.